Champions are not born, they are forged, tempered and shaped by the fires of competition. Each year, the nation's best amateur racers enter the flames of the Sports Car Club of America Runoffs, a single, winner-take-all event. This year, the Runoffs returns to Road America, one of the world's greatest and most challenging tracks. Over 500 drivers will take the green at the 48th annual Runoffs. Only 28 will emerge as national champions. The SCCA Runoffs, next on Speedcast TV.
Welcome to coverage of the 48th annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs, and you are not seeing something you didn't think your TV could show you. Don't have to adjust your screen. It's rainy outside. It's very wet. We're about to get to the GT1 category, the Monsters of the Midway, here at Road America. In 2011, this has been a fun class to follow, and we'll see the best of the best run for the gold medal here in GT1. I'm Jim Trado along with Dorsey Schrader, and joining us on pit road, I believe, undercover, is John Bizignano. Hey, Biz.
Well, there's not much cover right down here at the moment, but all the Trans Am cars, I still call them Trans Am cars, all the GT1 cars, they have left this area and have gone out for their, well, it's hard to say warm-up lap on a cold day like this. Dorsey, I've got a question for you. 840 horsepower. How in the heck are they ever going to put the power down on a slippery track like this? How will they be able to control any type of real true acceleration?
If it were me, I'd put one spark plug wire off each side of that V8 engine, drop that horsepower back. I've done it before. I've seen Jack Roush do it before. 800 to 900 horsepower in this configuration is just ludicrous.
This is GT1. You can see how beautifully big and fat and awesome these race cars are. GT1.
Most of them all ex-Trans Am cars at one time. They're aged at this point. They've changed the rules somewhat that allow 358 cubic inch big block. You know, these motors are like just Biz said, 850, 900 horsepower. Do they need that much? Heck no. In the rain, how much do they need? Well, you might take more than one spark plug off each side, but that's not a bad idea, and I wasn't kidding about it. It's been done before. I mean, this is going to be unmanageable power, even with rain tires.
And it's going to be a matter of matching heavyweights up front. Cliff Eben out of Appleton, Wisconsin, his fourth pole, two-time gold medalist, finished second last year to the man who sits alongside him on row number one, Michael Lewis out of Poway, California. The San Diego region defending champion of this class in the Goodyear Cyclo Redline Jaguar XKR. Both were under the track record. And looking at the rest of the field, Rick Dittman in the number 24 out of Prairie View, Illinois. His 34th runoff, he was a 1990 GT4 gold medalist. Dittman in the 24 starts third. The number 59 of Simon Gregg will actually have a chance at the Super Sweep here in GT1. He won the National Points Championship, his division, and a Super Sweep, one of the 9 designated Super Sweep races. If he wins the runoffs, bam, huge award. He finished fourth here last year in his Corvette, one of 6 in the field. Starting fifth, the number 3 of Kyle Kelly at age 26 already in his 5th class and 3rd track in the runoffs competition. Out of Huntington Beach, California, he'll start 5th. Starting 6th, the number 66 of Denny Lamers, longtime supporter of all forms of racing, and Cliff Eben. Denny Lamers himself getting behind the wheel. He finished 9th here in 2009 in the McMahon Group Stump Ford Hoosier Lamers Ford Mustang. Next row, there's 05 of David Firsthand, one of the few Oldsmobile Cutlasses we see in club competition. The only Cutlass in the field today, the Southwest Division champ, starts that all-red Oldsmobile Cutlass in 7th. Starting 8th, the 01 of Jim Bradley out of Gaston, Indiana. Fort Wayne region. He finished 6th here last year in the Optical 1 Chevy Corvette. Starting 9th on grid, the number 30 of J. Richard Grant, 1990 gold medalist in GT4. Starting 10th, the number 47 of Carl Jannon of Dallas, Texas. Southwest region runner-up this year in the Chevy Camaro. And at the tail of the field, starting 11th, will be the number 9 of Chip Boatwright out of Mundelein, Illinois. He finished 4th, actually national points. He finished 25th, and he finished 4th in the SOPAC Southern Pacific Division. So, indeed, a lot of diversity here. And Chip actually ran in the Arizona region, originally from Illinois, so he'll bring up the tail of the field here in GT1 at the runoffs. And yeah, it's wet, and yeah, we got one car already dipping up pit road here, Dorsey.
He's a smart one. What's about to happen here? What's going to happen is we have a problem with these cars because of that big, huge engine in the front and the headers going down both sides, and that's visibility. They make a lot of steam off those headers when they get wet, and that steam turns into inside fog of the windshield. We'll see who can master that.
As Chris Kelly pulled down pit road, we find Cliff Eben pulling into the early lead here in his Ford Mustang. Eben the leader over Michael Lewis into turn number 1.
We used to actually run inside windshield wipers with a windshield wiper on the inside of the windshield as well as the outside, or have a squeegee, because they make a lot of temperature, these engines, and these are muffled cars. They have mufflers inside the door panels, and that makes steam, and you're going to see that. There's no way to keep a 358 cubic inch 900 horsepower cool, out there in racing conditions. We see number 3. Yep. Go ahead.
Kyle Kelly's car, Dorsey, just going to say he came up pit road right behind the pace car. Something amiss on the opening pace lap.
Or he might have chose not to race today, and that is a choice you have. It's a choice I made way back in 1981. It was a condition that was so horrendous, I said, I can't afford to write my car off, and I don't want to die today. I'm parking. That's a hard thing to say, but it's a reality of what's going on.
As the rest of the competitors soldier on, this is lap 1 of 13 in the number 24 machine in GT1. Soldiering on is Rick Dittman out of Prairie View, Illinois, in the Chicago region. His 8th runoffs, I stand corrected, his 8th runoffs, his best run, 1983 at Road Atlanta in a GT1, so certainly a veteran of GT1 category.
The job of handling over 800 horsepower in the rain is huge. I can't say enough. These are not allowed traction control. The traction control on these cars is your right foot. When you've got a car that goes to that much extent of horsepower, when they have tires as wide as the rear tires of these Trans Am cars or GT1 cars, that wide tire is your enemy. It floats. It's so wide, it gets up on top of the water. These guys are going to have a handful, and that's why they're so slow right now.
Wipers off on this car, and unfortunately he's not able to get at full power, because that's what these guys live for, the full speed and thrill of driving a GT1. Simon Gregg, the number 59 there, the orange and white car, available for that super sweep. Simon Gregg trying to soldier on here and try to get an opportunity to get into medal contention.
Consider the 0 to 60 time in right at 2 seconds in dry conditions. So that tells you what kind of horsepower you got. Consider the fact that they can't see because those windshields are going to fog up here very shortly, and you start to understand what they're going through right now in these conditions.
Advantage Cliff Eben here. He's leading this car of Michael Lewis in the Jag because he's out front. He was able to tiptoe into turn 1 first, and now he has the advantage here. Clear track ahead of him, and you can see at some point these big old tires are starting to hydroplane a bit.
They will. The faster you go, the worse it's going to get. Now, a lot of these guys at one point in time, we've tried everything. We've had electronic heater windshields. We put heaters on there. Guys put fans in there. They'll be running fans, ducting fans. But what you're doing is you're circulating. It gets about 140 degrees inside that car. So that heat itself is in that compartment. And if you can blow that to the windshield alone, that helps somewhat.
And Cliff Eben driving the same Ford Mustang he won here in the June sprints in the dry at a 24-second advantage margin of victory for Cliff. And he's trying to build that up here. But Mike Lewis last year had the same in reverse. Lewis went out and checked out on the field. Eben ended up with the silver last year. And Cliff trying to reverse that fortune. And, boy, you could just hear maybe a quarter of the throttle, just cracked it a bit.
I bet you they don't go full throttle except at the very end of the straightaways. There'll be some portion of partial throttle as they do these laps around here. I ran the 89. I won 2 races here in Trans Am in the rain, and it is a handful. And we had 310 cubic inch engines. These are 358. We had upper 600s. These are 8, 9. It's just unbelievable where these cars have gone.
Lap times 2 minutes 7 seconds was the pole mark. We're not going to get anywhere near that today, but just to give an idea, the Formula cars with all the downforce and the DSR and CSR cars are only 6 seconds faster than these big monsters.
Well, see, these only make downforce the faster you go, and they're not able to go very fast, so they make less downforce. I mean, you see right now everybody tiptoeing along. It's just management. What you have is you have to manage 13 laps around this racetrack and make the minimum amount of mistakes.
And there's Carl Janin all the way up from Carrollton, Texas to try to get his chance at running for glory here in GT1. His best run of 3 previous runoffs is a position 11 at 2008 at Heartland Park, Topeka. But can imagine all the work and the angst in the 4 or 5 days leading up to this, and now to run in the wet. It's got to be a challenge indeed.
Scary thing is that these 3 long straightaways, you're still able to run 170 mile an hour in one of these cars. I mean, down the straightaway, you can still punch it and get going with some demon speed, if you want to call it that.
This is Michael Lewis, P12 in that Muscle Milk Jaguar, and he is certainly familiar with the rain here. Matter of fact, I've got a note here. In 2001, he won his very first Trans Am race in a rain situation. The Johnson Controls 100 at Road America back on August 18, 2001. The race started somewhere on slicks, somewhere on wets, and Michael Lewis won his first ever Trans Am race right here at Road America.
I was about to say that Michael is one of the guys that did run some Trans Am at the latter years, with the very last years of the series. What you need to do in the rain is you need to drive the car to what your mind and your body tells you is as fast as you can go. If somebody tries to pass you and you try to go faster, and your mind has told you if I go any faster, I'll probably wreck, you will. And so you drive up to that. If somebody wants to pass you, you have to let them go. You have to rely on your instinct. You see him touching the brake pedal right there, just very gently, just rubbing the brakes, make sure the pedal's up, make sure, you can feel the grip on the front of the car.
That's Michael Lewis, a 5-time medalist. The first came in 2010 in GT1 for him. He had been in other categories, running a Mazda RX-7 and the like, but getting this Jaguar up to speed is something he's fun and familiar with. Had a lot of fun doing, I should say. The 51-year-old out of California has 5 wins in the runoff competition, this being the 3rd straight year at Road America. Lets his GT1 really fly down the front stretch here.
Back in the day, you had more than one engine available. You had different sizes of engines. You had V6s, you had V8s. On a day like this, honest to God, you'd go with a V6 in a heartbeat. Get rid of that horsepower. That horsepower is your enemy right now. It's not doing you a bit of good.
What tracks would make sense in a Trans Am car to run a V6 in the dry?
If you had an old V6 car right here, it'd be down on horsepower, probably 200 horsepower. Would it win? Yeah, probably would. It would be much more balanced. It would be a lighter car, and it would be, it would be the right ticket. But nowadays, everybody runs to one kind of standard, particularly in GT1. This is Simon Gregg you're looking at. He's been in this series for a long time, and Rick Dittman. Both have run Trans Am races before. I think I've raced against those two. I'm sure I've raced against all these cars at one point or another.
Simon Gregg, age 47, is the son of the late Peter Gregg. He is running for the Super Sweep in SCCA. It's the highest honor and the toughest to win. You've got to finish first in your division in a given season, win the National Points Championship heading into the runoffs, and win one of the 9 designated Super Sweep events throughout the entire country. He's done that, and if he wins the runoffs, he'll be handed that Super Sweep award here by winning this GT1 event at the runoffs.
He drives for my old hunting buddy Jim Durhog, a guy that I actually drove against and drove for at one point in time. And Jimmy is instrumental in keeping the Trans Am hopes alive to get this series. And the good news is, and I'd like to say it already, that next year I think you're going to start to see a resurgence of Trans Am. In fact, next week at Petit Le Mans, they have 39 cars entered. That's a huge field. That'll be bigger than any field ALMS has ever seen in for one class.
Oh, and Cliff Eben, the race leader, is off.
Eben is off and backed into the wall on the outside of turn 7.
A big shunt there. We see the damage and the spray onto the racetrack. Cliff Eben, the race leader. That's Simon Gregg going by in the 3rd place car, and 4th place Dittman. But look at the damage on the left rear of that Mustang of Cliff Eben.
Now you're looking at 3,000-pound missile here. And when it gets out from under you, that 3,000-pound, of course, got into that 8,500-pound barrier, which didn't move.
Turn 7. Got him. Between turn 7 coming down to 8.
It's tough. That's an off-camber corner, and these cars already, are hard to get grip through there. And then when you add rain to it, it doesn't take much. I know what happened. I can tell you exactly what happened. He touched the throttle just a little bit too much. It broke the back end free. He spun across, and he's right into the barrier.
And Cliff Eben is okay. He actually climbed out of the car and is on the other side of the wall there in the red driver's suit.
He came from where the yellow car is now. He got on the throttle there. It spun, backed into the barrier.
See the tire marks leaving the track there, and as he had actually got all the way around with the right side,
he
the left side impact,
back.
and then he ricocheted off the wall.
Yep. They'll get a rescue vehicle to him and get him extricated from the area he's in. But these cars, and I said, these cars are a handful and a half in this kind of condition.
As Michael Lewis leads up the front stretch now as the leader to complete lap number 3, we get word now that Rick Dittman, who was in 3rd position, has spun off in turn 8 into the gravel.
Well, you look at this for Michael Lewis. He's the most experienced guy out there. There's no question about that. And now he has a 20-second lead. All he has to do now is just idle around for the rest of the remaining part of the time. It is unbearable conditions out there. If I was racing that thing, like I said, I would not have been opposed to putting a smaller carburetor on it. That's another thing you can do. Take the 750 off, put a 550 on. Get rid of it. You don't need horsepower today, buddy, I tell you.
Unfortunately, we saw the effect. Now we know of 2 cars that were running up front had the direct result of the slippery condition and getting the best of them. This is Simon Gregg now moving into the 2nd position.
Durhog has entered and run more Trans Am races than anybody ever. At the time he retired, as you see,
that's Dittman in the 24 machine.
Dittman's car off in the gravel trap. At the time he retired, he was the leading starter of any Trans Am race ever. He's been around since day one. He's keeping the series alive, or trying to, doing the best he can do for sure. Prepares cars, sells cars, works on engines, does anything that. And Durhog is, he's been here forever. He's a good guy.
And Durhog actually has helped keep that pulse here at Road America. They've actually held Trans Am races just to try to keep that formula going.
And he's had to, out of his own pocket, carry that load a few times, no question about it. As the series, of course, has no factory backing anymore like it did when I was a full factory driver for Ford. They're not cheap cars to run.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
These engines, $60,000. Now, the good news is it's less stress than it was in its current regime, which would be a NASCAR car.
We just saw Richard Dittman returning to the racetrack in turn number 8. The camera panned over, and we saw Cliff Evans' Mustang still getting attention off of turn 7. And we remain a full course green, just a local yellow there in 7 and 8, a very tricky racetrack here. The rain began this morning and continues here late afternoon racing in GT1 category, the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. That is our race leader, tails out. It's Michael Lewis out of California, the San Diego region, completing lap number 4.
As long as you can protect your visibility, it's not that hard to drive one of these cars. You just have to stay within your limit. You know, visibility is the number one key thing that you have to maintain. I'm looking inside right now Mike Lewis's car. You can see him in there, so it's not that bad. I've seen situations where the camera, which sees better than your naked eye does, can't even see the driver inside. If you can't see him with the camera, he sure can't see you.
Michael Lewis is about 6'2" tall, I believe. And there was a driver in a production class that just finished up. I happened to pop in on the victory interview in the media center, and a taller gent that won the race, Jason Pritchard, he actually said there was about an inch right above the cowling that they could see in his production car, but he had to crouch down with the Hans device and all. I'm sure if Mike Lewis had visibility issues, same thing as Pritchard faced, you really can't get down low enough to see.
Well, you got a lot of room in these cars. You got to remember the most winning driver in Trans Am history is my buddy Tommy Kendall. Tommy's 6'6". You know, you're sitting pretty far back in these cars. You're not sitting where you would be in your street car seat. You're sitting way in the back where that back window is. So there's a lot of leg room in there, and there's a lot of, well, it depends how the seat's configured, but I was going to say there's a lot of headroom. There's less headroom than there is leg room.
But there is ability to get the driver lower than you're saying in these Trans Am cars. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, because the seat doesn't have to be put in a specific area. And you want to put the driver as far to the back as you can get him, because that puts the weight toward the rear tires. And with that big V8 on the nose, you already have a lot of weight up there.
Michael Lewis going by what would have been his chief rival for the gold medal. Cliff Evans was leading the event when he spun off course. This is turn 8 at the bottom of this hill. Third place runner Richard Dittman found the gravel and now back on course right here. We can see it's still very, very slick, and there's standing water everywhere.
Absolutely. These cars, they've softened them, I'm sure, as soft as they can. They might have gone down on a spring rate to make the car roll more. They've taken the sway bars off or disconnected them, or gone to really light sway bars so the car rolls a lot. When the car rolls, the weight of the car rolls to the outside tire, pushes it down through the water. That helps out a lot. Also, they would have taken the brake bias and they've run that toward the rear because they're not going very quick and they can't brake as hard as they normally would. Now, this car normally 180 miles an hour into turn 5, you get down about that 4 marker and get on that brake. Let me tell you, there's some weight on the nose.
This is Richard Dittman, unfortunately not at full song for 2 reasons. It's wet, and he did get in the gravel. We see there's still a lot of grass on the nose of his car as he goes back on course. Dittman unofficially 8th right now, working lap 5. This is second place, Simon Gregg in the 59 in the Jim Durhag prepared Corvette.
It's a tough racetrack in the drive for these cars because they are heavy cars, A. Secondly, you're braking on a downhill slope into turn 5. You're braking again downhill into turn 1, not quite as severely. But that being said, and at the speed that these cars carry, you have to run a lot of spring normally because it's got to hold that nose up from smashing into the ground. That doesn't help as far as traction goes, and these guys are pushing 800 plus horsepower.
With as big and heavy as these cars are, Dorsey, talk about the racing line and how it differs now as you look for a line that's not necessarily where you should be on a dry course.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are going to run to the outside of the apex if they can to find some grip. You're not going to have any grip available for the horsepower that they're carrying. I mean, if you look at a throttle graph right now, and we look at this all the time, what percentage of full throttle do you have around a lap? Well, normally around here at Road America, you would probably have something like 76% full throttle. Right now, they probably have 8% full throttle. The only time they can really floor it is at the far end of the long straightaways, because with that kind of horsepower, you can burn the back of that thing off in the dry, so imagine in the wet.
Simon Gregg taking that Duroc Motorsports Corvette through the final few corners. Running in second in hopes of a super sweep. He hopes that he can catch Michael Lewis, who has sprinted away for the lead right now. We are working lap number 6 right here at the Road America. Beautiful 4-mile road course. Lots of racing yet to come. Stick with us here on the coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs in GT1. We'll be back in moments.
This portion of the 48th annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs is being brought to you by Mazda, Zoom Zoom, by Blackmagic Car Care Products, and by Gumout, cleaning since 1945.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Gum Out Regain Complete Fuel System Cleaner helps restore lost horsepower and fuel economy. Just pour an entire bottle of Gum Out Regain into your tank before your next fill-up. Powerful cleaning additives attach themselves to fuel system carbon deposits and safely and effectively lift them away. That way, deposits burn up, then pass through the exhaust. Gum Out Regain additives even leave a protective barrier to help keep new deposits from forming for up to 3,000 miles. Get a bottle of Gum Out Regain Complete Fuel System Cleaner today for reduced engine hesitation, surging and knocking, as well as restored fuel economy and lost horsepower, all within one fill-up.
Okay, it's time to face facts. You're a gearhead. You treat the freeway on-ramp like your own personal racetrack, and you love the smell of burning rubber. Well, good news, Speed Junkie. The Sports Car Club of America wants you. With 40,000 members and 2,000 events across the country, the SCCA has all the wheel-spinning, engine-revving excitement you can handle. Want to dance on the edge of control? In SCCA Solo, you'll learn the blacktop two-step with an army of cones trying to trip you up. If slinging mud is your thing, check out SCCA Rallycross, where power slides and rooster tails are the name of the game. And if wheel-to-wheel competition is what you crave, SCCA Club Racing lets you chase the checkered flag on America's toughest racetracks. Join the Sports Car Club of America today and feed your obsession.
Welcome back to coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, and GT1, that beautiful Olds Cutlass, driven by David Firsthand, is in the bronze medal position.
Could be an old Irv Hare car, more than likely. Irv campaigned Oldsmobile for many years. He was my nemesis in Trans Am. He was the man I beat for the championship in '89. Great guy. The Hare family still in business. HRP sells parts, Hare racing products out of Peoria, Illinois. Really good family. A long time in USAC, his father before him.
They had a Wisconsin connection because Wagner Motors built their power plants out of Markesan.
Wagner built all the good V6s, the Buick motors, in every series there is. And in fact, Wagner's built the motor that's in Simon Gregg's car right now. That is a Wagner V8 NASCAR motor, 358 cubic inch. They won't. They just admit to lots of 800 plus horse. It's way too much today.
So Jim Duraga had his choice. He probably put a 971 HP on the hood like the old days, right? He'd say, "Oh, that's how much I got, boys."
Well, you know, and Jim
exaggerate a little bit.
Jim has done business with Wagner for a long time. This is third place battle you're looking at right now, and David Firsthand over Jim Bradley. Jim in the Corvette, yellow and black, trying to find his way around.
Jim's being cautious here, but it looks like he's certainly got an opportunity here to get that third position. Again, that's Firsthand in the red Cutlass leading Bradley. And this could be a chance here. Bradley gets on the button and drag races him up the corner. He might get him by turn one.
You saw David Firsthand run the outside rim shot around there, and that's a slower way around. And Jim Bradley took the inside. He's got grip. Now we got a drag race going.
One of the few places they can get on the button with these huge motors in GT1.
They have so much. Let me give you, for instance, we run down the straightaway at 180 miles an hour. Right about there, you're shifting from, you're from fourth to fifth gear. It spins the tires in the dry.
Wow. And they have more horsepower than you had when you raced these.
Yeah, these guys have 150 more horsepower than what we ever saw.
Well, the Oldsmobile is able to hang on for the time being. David Firsthand drag raced them up the front stretch, and Bradley now cautiously making his way in that yellow Corvette behind.
They're heavier cars as well than they used to be. They're up over 3,000 pounds now, which is, the lightest Trans Am car I ever drove, I think, was 2,400. That's all been changed, obviously.
Bradley out of the Great Lakes Division finished third in the Fort Wayne region with 4 podium finishes and 4 attempts this year to make his opportunity and qualify here for the runoffs in that yellow Corvette, following Firsthand into turn 5 here.
Yeah, that there's only 2 guys that ran Oldsmobiles in Trans Am. That was Paul Gentilozzi at the latter stage of the Oldsmobile tenure, and Irv Hare. Irv had the most of them, but the wing on that particular car looks somewhat Gentilozzi-ish.
We'll copyright that. You can't use that. That belongs to SpeedcastTV.com. We've taken claim to that. And they're still working on cleaning up. That rollback is there for Cliff Ebbett, who's getting his car put on the hook.
Pole sitter or leader at the time.
Ebbett in that Ford Mustang was untouchable here in June. Ebbett won in 2009. He beat Michael Lewis, who finished third that day. He finished second last year to Lewis, who jumped ahead of him and won the gold going away. And here again, Michael Lewis on his way to another gold medal in the national championship runoffs. So it would be number 6 if Lewis is able to hang on to his sizable lead. This is the battle for third. David Furstand and Jim Bradley. Dorsey, what do you think about this run through the carousel?
Well, it's an interesting thing right there. John Bizignano, my buddy there, brought up a very good point. There was another Oldsmobile. It was run by Harry Bricks. And Darren Brassfield, my old nemesis, drove that car. It was a black one. Olivetti, I believe, sponsorship. Thank you, Biz.
Now we're going way back, aren't we?
It's going back away.
A lot of fun hanging out at the Runoffs with a great team from SpeedcastTV.com. Certainly got to give credit. There's busy rooster tails in each and every division today. We got to give credit to our camera guys. Working the field, all our field guys at SpeedcastTV.com. Thank you for what you're doing to bring us this coverage.
And the hundreds of corner workers that are here. Do you think it's fun to stay out there in 30-some-odd degrees being rained on all day long, picking people out of mud and out of tire walls that put themselves there? No. They're all here. They don't get paid. They do it because they love it. God bless them.
And they've been active today on the corners, no question. The people on the grid have been rather stationary, getting cars lined up and such, so they probably got a little bit colder because they weren't as motion-driven by these cars sliding off course and back on course and sweeping corners and that thing. Here we go again. The drag race continues.
Jim Bradley takes the inside line again. Both of them being very tentative. You know, they go up here side by side, but look how easy they are when it gets come time to go in the corner. Jim Bradley didn't really get a good run on him that time. David Firsthand really doing a fantastic job.
Firsthand ran here in the June sprints back. He finished in 15th position. Not the best run there, but again, that experience pays. The Southwest Division champion out of Fort Worth, Texas, leading now Jim Bradley in the 0-1 out of the Great Lakes Division.
You know, talking about it a little bit about Michael Lewis again, who's leading this race overall. He is the guy that should, in fact,
well, look at this. Bradley now trying to show the inside here.
Yeah, not enough there, though.
A little more aggressive now.
Both of them have to get a little more decisive is what has to happen. They're going along there just a little easy, and I don't blame them. Not saying that. I was saying about Michael Lewis as a pro racer. He races in the American Le Mans Series in a prototype car, which is wicked fast. He runs Trans Am, has run more times. He's many-time national champion in different classes, so it doesn't surprise me he's way out in front. These two, on the other hand, having a race of their own, and it's not over with yet.
And we see that Bradley stuck that Corvette on the outside off of turn number 3, which is now the outside going into 5. Will gingerly take the position away from Firsthand, give third now to the yellow vet of Bradley.
Gingerly is a great word for that, too, because I feel that when you see that car starting to move around, you got to understand what's going on in there. You know, there's modulation of the brake pedal going on. There's a little counter steering with the hands. I mean, you're in a tentative situation. The car's up on top of its springs right there. It's wanting to wreck, and you're trying to keep it from doing it.
And we talked about how big these tires are. Does that give us an experience from inside? How much of a turn is that on the wheel? Is it quick steering? Is it a big box?
Now, they got power steering on these cars, all of them, because you couldn't handle the size of the tire and the grip that they make any other way. But, I mean, the biggest thing is that those tires, as fat as they are, the fatter the tire is, the more footprint it has on top of the racetrack. Now, if it had treads, and these are treaded tires, you know, that's one thing. But the fatter the tire is, the more lift it gets. It's buoyancy, if you want to call it that. So the bigger the tire is, the more it's want to get up on top of that surface. And then coupled to the fact that every time you touch that right pedal, there's 800 horsepower over there. There's another problem.
This is the Muscle Milk Jaguar of Michael Lewis, making his way through the field and running away with GT1 right now, Grand Touring 1, and Lewis just a bit of a wiggle there, but has a sizable lead. No issue there on being challenged at this point.
What these guys are doing now, say this corner right here would normally be a third-gear corner, which it is, they might be in fourth. You know, they might enter that in second, go to third in the middle of it, but they're probably running fourth right now because they don't want to light up the back tires at all. You know, so they're short shifting. They're not going anywhere near the max RPM or the max power of the engine. I know in the Ford motors that those at about 6,500 just get happy as heck. You know, they'll rip the paint off the side of the car at about 65 to 85. So you don't get to 65. You shift at 6, so it never gets to the happy spot, so you don't have that problem.
And here is Michael Lewis again in his Jaguar XKR. He's been in this car for a number of years in his off weekends, shall we say. He goes playing with the club racers and has had a very nice season. Again, we mentioned he's out of the San Diego region, but he finished first in the Southern Pacific Division, third in national points, so he didn't win everything this year. Simon Gregg has that opportunity to win it all with the super sweep. Here he comes into frame in that orange and white Corvette off of turn 6, heading to turn 7.
Simon Gregg's looking at that car, that Corvette. The windshield wiper is not working. Now it is working. Here's what happens with these windshield wipers, too. They break all the time. It's ridiculous. what they'll do, and that's what this one did, turned upside down.
The right one is broken.
No,
for sure.
it turned upside down. What
Okay.
it did, he went down the straightaway so fast that the wind on the windshield doesn't have enough spring pressure to hold that wiper down. Then it'll do the backflip.
Kind of like an umbrella that pops inside out.
Or when you start the race and you turn on and it goes into the next lane, it's like, oh,
If we had a booth cam, Dorsey's arm went the direction of a golf club if you didn't hang on to
I've
it.
had all that happen, those windshield wipers. Or the other thing they do is when you go down straight, they go on the windshield and they're like, stop it.
Oh, we got it all for you here at GT1. Unfortunately, the rain has prevented us from having the contest we were hoping, as Cliff Eben found the fence in turn 3 as the race leader. He and Michael Lewis have had a spirited battle of words and wits and trophies, really, when it comes to medals and exchanging them over the past couple of years. Eben crashed off course. Michael Lewis well out in front. Simon Gregg here with that single wiper still working, hanging on to second right now in his Corvette. Third is Jim Bradley. Fourth is David Firsthand. We caught a glimpse of Simon Gregg going past Denny Lamers, who's a teammate to Cliff Eben and another Mustang, sponsored by Stump Ford, a local racer. And Denny Lamers has done so much for racing in this state of Wisconsin. He's got his own coach line, but it really has put forth a great effort when it comes to local racing and here to Trans Am and SCCA and GT1 with Cliff Eben specifically.
There's Jim Bradley, who's finally gotten around and on his way now. It was actually Paul Gentilozzi who did invent the inside-outside windshield wiper. That's why he's cross-eyed today. If you ever tried to drive one of those cars, they weren't in sync. There's like...
I would have Tylenol for a sponsor if it was me driving that.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Jim Bradley having his way again in third position. He was in a battle with the Oldsmobile, if you recall, a couple laps back here with David Firsthand, who's drifted 5 seconds back now.
He's got visibility. Right now he doesn't have a spray in his face. He can see a little bit better. And I
think this is a single wiper mount if we're analyzing that, just one on this windshield.
And the other side, you don't have to see all that much anyway, although I always like to have a full windscreen of visibility if possible. You were lucky in these cars to be able, if you could see it all, that you were doing good. Remember going down the straightaway looking out the driver's side window at the guardrail to see where I was on the racetrack because I couldn't see out the front. That's not fun.
I believe it. And these cars, again, at 800 horsepower, are a handful. This is Denny Lamers in a Ford Mustang.
And that car looks like a car I might have drove. If that was built by Joe Huffaker, that could have been the Coffee Critic car because it's got the same stripe on it. And if it was the Coffee Critic car, it was me and my buddy from Speed Channel, Chris Neville, both drove that car. It was Chris's car to drive on the long term, but I drove it once or twice.
Chris is about the width of a pencil, so I imagine he has a seat insert.
Yeah, he is you're right about that.
Good guy. Chris is a lot of fun. He's got a great career on television, working across channels. He's actually dipping into NASCAR now, and certainly I'm sure you had fun with him. He's a great individual.
He was a good competitor. He was with Huffaker for a year there when Joe was trying to get some business out of Trans Am. It was not, I'll be honest with you, wasn't the best car in the field at the time. So Chris did a great job learning the trade in that car.
And Denny Lamers, the number 66 machine, again finished 9th here at the June sprints. Most importantly, the 63-year-old loves racing. And out of Appleton, Wisconsin, he's been behind this effort. He's been very much involved with Cliff Eben's success in GT1. You see him locking up the right front, heading in here to turn 8.
Make no mistake about it. In the dry, these are a blast. Trans Am racing was the best sports car racing I think there ever was. And they're rough and tumble cars. You could lean on each other and push on each other. And there was a bunch of characters, let me tell you, that came out of that series.
And Dorsey Schrader is one of them for sure. Carl Jannon is 52 years of age, out of Carrollton, Texas. 13th nationally this year. His best run has been 11th at the Runoffs. He'll improve that. He's running 7th right now, at albeit a reduced rate.
I think Jack Baldwin said it's no place for wimps. And that was about right.
Big horsepower, a lot of great racing, a lot of memories here at Road America, specifically back in the Trans Am era. David Hobbs actually winning in that Coca-Cola sponsored machine in '83, won the whole deal.
He won a BMW too, David did, in Trans Am in his day. Of course, it's all changed around a lot, and I'm hearing good things for next year. And remember, Trans Am in its inception was these cars with the big, huge V8s and under 2.5-liter cars. If that comes back to play, they'll have big fields next year.
And the 47 of Carl Jannon out of Carrollton, Texas. A Chevy Camaro finished second in the Southwest Division. We're giving you a bunch of numbers here because Carl really wanted to go at it like you were saying, Dorsey. He wanted to get a chance to run at speed here at this really beautiful and long road course.
I think I won in the rain in Trans Am every time I raced in the rain. I can't remember losing a race in the rain, but I hated every race that I ran in the rain. That's the bad thing. When you're in a car like this, The only time you're having fun is when you're going really, really fast, and that's cool. But when you're doing what these guys are doing, which is purely discipline, then that's like going to school. I didn't like that either.
We saw Jim Bradley at the top of the hill get a bit squirrely there for a moment. That's the number 9 machine of Chip Boatwright. Appropriate name today. Unfortunately, Jim Boatwright looks like he may be coming down pit road or just making way.
No, just made way. Just got out of the way.
Yep. And Chip was a late entry on the GSB Realty Chevy Corvette at his first ever runoffs.
I mean, honestly, you don't need tires, you need a rudder. That'd be a better deal.
And Chip actually raced in Arizona, on the Arizona region in the Southern Pacific Division. So, albeit a Mundelein, Illinois driver, Chip finding his success in the Southwest.
Dare I say, it looks to be lightening up out there finally. After a deluge today, I mean, it started raining and it just kept on.
There's a good look at Chip's Corvette.
Rick Dittman now up to 5th place. Good positioning for him. This isn't over by long. We've got 3 laps to go.
There goes Michael Lewis, working lap 12. That means there's 13 laps left, so it's a little over a lap to go for Lewis. And here comes the
David Firsthand.
Firsthand about to go lap down to that Jaguar of Lewis.
Yeah, Mike Lewis just right now on cruise control. He has no worries whatsoever. He's been experienced in this type of car for a long time. He's been in the rain many, many times, so I'm sure his heart rate is probably lower than usual.
Just the Sunday drive, you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's believe it or not, you get into an element inside the race car and you're so zoned in that you relax to the point that, honest to God, your heartbeat is usually below what it is if you're just out there walking around in the street somewhere. Of course, that's dangerous.
Michael Lewis working his way through, going into turn 5 here now. Got past Firsthand in the Oldsmobile, who again is off pace, but he had a really, really fun run at the time with 3rd place Jim Bradley for a moment.
You look at Mike Lewis, and he's doing the classic rain thing. Watch, right in the middle of the road. He's not going to be close to the inside of the track. He's not going to be too close to the outside track. Going to drive right around in the middle. Remember, most of these roads are crowned. The center part being higher, water runs off each side. The center part's got the driest area.
And Lewis, again, carefully going through here. He'll get a lap on the car of Boatwright. Power his way down into turn number 8. It's a left-hander before the carousel.
Moves out to the outside a little bit there, but watch, he won't go all the way to the inside, I don't think. He just leaves himself
idling through.
Room.
Great hearing that.
You hear the cam.
Yep.
No throttle whatsoever. I mean, if you grow up in lower horsepower classes, particularly open wheel classes, one of the things that they teach you as you're going through driving school or you're trying to get better is where you go to full throttle. The sooner you can go to full throttle, the better you're going to have a run down the straightaway. I remember one of the guys I'd raced with, and he kept saying, "Where do you go to full throttle? Where do you go to full throttle?" I said, "You don't." And he said, "What do you mean you don't?" I said, "You can't. Not in the rain. There's no full throttle. There's nothing available. You go to full throttle, you'll be looking about where you just came from."
Yeah.
You know, and so it was really hard for him to understand that these have so much horsepower that throttle pedal is 0 to 10. It's not just 8, 9, 10. You know, you have to work the 0, 1, 2, 3 a lot.
And that's what they're doing today in the rain at Road America. The SCCA National Championship runoff race is on for GT1. Michael Lewis a little over a lap away from finding gold for the 6th time in his driving career in SCCA competition.
Another thing we would do before a rain race, know it was going to rain, is we would lengthen the throttle throw. So if you had a throttle throw from nothing to full throttle and say it was 2 inches, make it 4. Make it progressive. Oh, and Simon Gregg is spun. He's okay. He's down in 5.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in 5, and he's out there in the grass, but no problem and nobody around him. He had a huge lead, so he will go on. But that's a mistake. With not much time left to go in the race, he won't want to do any more of that.
Pushing the issue a bit is the super sweep candidate on this final lap. Michael Lewis has now crossed under the stripe. One more circuit, one more 4-mile run around this race course, and Lewis now again going through the motions here.
You know, you'd think that at the reduced pace this would be a boring race, 13 laps of not going very quick, but you're so on edge, you just want to get the thing over with, to be honest with you.
The muscle milk on the hood, the muscle behind the wheels, Michael Lewis.
Not at all.
California.
Not at all boring inside that car when you've got all that going on. And when you see a guy that looks like he's smooth like Mike does right here, you know, you don't see the car moving around much. Trust me, that's just because he's doing a really good job managing that car to the conditions he's in. There's a lot going on in there, I guarantee you.
You mentioned Gentilozzi. This is a 2001 Jaguar XKR.
Yeah, it's one of his cars. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, there's no doubt. Mike drove for him for a while. This is one of the old Jags. But it's not running the multi-valve engine. Now, all these cars nowadays, like I said, they're all running the big block 358s.
Michael Lewis through turn 6 for the final time. Turn 7 has been a bit of a trouble spot for some. Lewis able through 12 circuits to get around here without any issue. Just backing her through and getting on down the corner.
Just idle around, one more time. You run the straightaways. That's what you do. You back off way before the corner, let the engine slow you down on its own. Don't brake very hard. And when you get off the corner, make sure you're dead straight, hand steering wheel right ahead, and then squeeze on the throttle. Like I say, it seems like it would be a boring thing to do, but every time you do it a little bit wrong, you wakes you right up.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Through the carousel for the final time for Michael Lewis. Vast experience here coming into play. He and Cliff Eben started on the front row. Eben, if you just joined us, actually crashed out while leading by some 8-9 seconds over Michael Lewis.
And that, again, just conditions were such that he got a little throttle too much and around it went. There's no stopping one of these things at 3,000 pounds. Once it's turned, and then you're very lucky if you just don't hit anything.
Carl Jannon making way now in that number 47 machine, trying to keep that beautiful metallic blue paint job intact as he's been able to keep it on the surface throughout the entire 13 laps thus far. Lewis passing him up now. That's a lap machine of Jannon. Up the hill, over through 12, over the Billy Mitchell bend here, over the Kohler Bridge, or Kohler Tunnel, excuse me. Down into 14 for the final time for Michael Lewis.
Problem is you can't see the tunnel.
That's underneath the racetrack.
The bridge you could see, the tunnel you can't.
Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there. He's not afraid to put it on the gas.
That's his victory lap.
And Michael Lewis will come home victorious for the 6th time in his career, 2nd time at GT1. First time here at the SCCA National Championships at Road America in 2011, backing up last year's victory in 2010.
He'll be happy as can be as you see Simon Gregg, who'd recovered from this very corner spin last time round on his final lap. Mike will be happy this one's over. You love the win, but like I said, race car drivers like going fast, and when you have this kind of horsepower and this kind of car, dry conditions are your buddy.
And Michael Lewis hasn't been here in a whole year, but Simon Gregg came up here and finished 4th in the SCCA June Sprint, sanctioned by the Chicago region. He ran 10 races this year and will come home the silver if he can keep it on the race surface for the last half a lap here for Jim Durhag in this Corvette.
Of course, Simon's out of Florida. He's a Florida boy like I am, and Jim Durhag way up north in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota area. So, like I said, Jim's my hunting buddy. He likes it up there. Does a lot of hunting worldwide. Goes to Africa every year.
Simon Gregg finished 4th in this race a year ago, looking at a silver medal. His first ever opportunity at getting on the podium at a Runoffs, and his 5th opportunity.
Windshield wiper still flapping away in the breeze there.
It's still hanging on for the ride. Through Canada Corner now, heading up to 12, then 13, then 14. Checkered flag waves as the race leader Michael Lewis is already on his warm down lap as Simon Gregg making his final few turns under full anger, or at least what you can put down on the pedal in this wet condition.
Good second place finish for Simon. He'll be pretty pleased with that. I'm sure he's not. It's like everybody else. These rain races, you wish you didn't have to do them, but you do them, and they're over with. And if you do good, you're happy about it.
Yeah, the rain has stopped, but unfortunately the track is so wet.
Oh, yeah,
it's even running across the track from different parts of the
It won't dry
till
till next year, probably. It'll freeze before it dries.
Let's go ice racing, boys.
And they will.
Simon Gregg up the hill here, safely away from the berm and the grass, and he'll put it down the middle of the straightaway and come home with a silver medal in GT1.
Make the team happy. They're off from here straight away to Petit Le Mans next week, which holds the final Trans Am race of 2011. And like I said, 39 cars entered, so that will be one of them, Simon Gregg. And Jim Durhag will compete in that last of 2011 championship run for Trans Am.
Jim Bradley 10th in 2009, 6th in 2010, and he'll bring home the bronze in 2011. Up the hill, Jim Bradley will take home 3rd in GT1 in his Corvette. So Bradley on the podium for the first time.
There is Mike Lewis waving to the corner workers like all of us do and should do. Again, those corner workers out here taking time off from their jobs, taking vacation time, working for free, and standing in a cold and wet Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Wringing out their whites, I'm sure, a couple of times today. Just before the job's done, they'll probably have to wring them out a few more times.
Oh, yeah. They might freeze, too.
Up the corner here, he'll come down pit road, and we're talking to John Bizignano, who's been on 16 of these SCCA runoff broadcasts, and great to have Biz with us. It's almost a tradition with Greg Creamer and Dorsey's available, and it's a lot of fun to be part of this scene.
Well, other than Biz, who also has the best seat in the house right there on pit lane, the corner workers, and the reason why they do that is that these are race fans too, first most, and you can't have a better seat than being on a corner like the kink and watching these guys come through. I mean, you talk about get your heart pounding.
Might be some seniority talking about who gets where on this race course, because it is the best of the best corner workers too. If you got a time off and you want to come from the Southwest region, come on up and have some fun.
Could not do a race without them. Anywhere, anytime. Without them, forget it.
Michael Lewis has won gold in GT1 now for the second time, second straight year. His other gold medals have come in other categories.
He'll be nice and toasty in there right now. It's probably 130 or 40 in there, nice, and he won't want to come out here and get all wet.
We talked about how tall he is. He's actually pretty high in the car here.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's over 6 foot. I'm 6. He's probably 6'2", I'd say.
And Michael Lewis getting ready to come on out and talk to Biz, or perhaps stay in the car for a moment and celebrate his victory here. He's got the bottle of water. Biz looks like he's about ready to get pinned with his gold medal.
He's looking for his muscle milk down here, guys. What exactly is muscle milk, Michael?
Stuff there is Craig Pickett. You know him. This is his company, and the best stuff got me in shape all year long drinking this. I live by it now.
I'm going to have to get myself some of that. You certainly drove well in this race. I'll tell you, this is just like going back to 0-1 as far as seeing you go around there in the wet. Yeah. It's a very successful track for you historically, but what was it like out there today? These huge motors producing all that power and no place to put it onto the ground.
To tell you the truth, I was thinking the same thing about 2001. I said the last time I drove in the rain here, it was 2001, and we won. So I guess, I don't know what happened with Cliff. He was certainly out there. I think I was able to probably match him, and the plan was to try to reel him in and see what we could do. And I guess he just got a wheel on a curb or something out there. I don't know. But after that, it was, I think Simon went off on the same lap, and after that, it was like a 30-second lead. And to tell you the truth, it was hard to keep focused, but I just kept trying to drive the car and hit the marks.
Well, Bonnie has something for you to focus on, a beautiful gold medal, which is well-deserved. And are you off to Petit Le Mans next week?
Absolutely, yep. I go home for a day and a half, see the kids, kiss the wife, and then I'm on a plane to Petit Le Mans. So let's hope that this is a harbinger of things to come.
Congratulations, buddy. You almost made it look easy. I know it wasn't. Let's see the milk again.
That's muscle milk. Good stuff. Everyone should try it out.
Give me that bottle. I'm out of here. I got this stuff.
Look out, bitch. Okay, you're going to have babies if you do that. Look out.
Muscle milks. Now he tells me about muscle milk. Hold on one second, buddy. I forgot my brains here, but I certainly don't need a piece of paper to know that Simon Gregg made a wonderful drive into second place. Hey, Simon, good to see you, buddy. Congratulations on a silver medal. Let's get that helmet off. I got to ask you about your drive out there. I know that you've been here many, many times, and you were here in 01. We were talking about how the track was flooded then. How would you compare today with those beautiful, good old Trans Am memories?
Well, it reminds me of a rain race here we had a long time ago, but at that race, I crashed in turn 5. The turn got me again. I had a little spin out there, but luckily I kept her running and didn't hit the wall. We've had a great year. This tops it off well, finishing 45 races in a row now. I've come to love this track, rain or shine.
Where does that success come from? 45 races in a row. What goes into making that kind of historic mark?
Well, the Durhag team has the best preparation and equipment in the business. They know how to. They know when stuff's going to break and keep changing the parts before they do. Everything's always fresh and clean. We have the best crew with Rob and Jim, and it just keeps going on.
Well, what Dorsey said today, on a day like today, all of that takes a lot of management, and you did a great job of managing it. Let's get the silver medal in here, make this official. Congratulations on a great second place at the Runoffs.
Thank you, Don.
All right, buddy. And third, but certainly not final in any way whatsoever in this field, Jim. My gosh, congratulations on your bronze medal. Was that fun out there or not for you?
I'll tell you, that was probably the thrill of driving your car today. I whenever just so grateful to Stu and all the help that he did to get the car. I'm not much of a rain driver, but
Not much, oh wait a minute, not much of a marine driver. You have an 800 horsepower car here that's capable of going 170 miles an hour. You didn't put a wheel wrong the entire race, and you're not much of a rain driver.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm just really grateful and thankful for Stu and just the way they set the car, and I'm just, it's just great being here, you know.
Congratulations on a great bronze medal.
Thank you very much. I sure appreciate it.
Okay guys, we looked at the weather map. We are in between two storms, one to the north, one to the south. Let's just hope they don't meet for about another hour. Our final event coming up soon. Okay guys, back to you.
Thank you, Biz. The thunder certainly was on the race course, but unfortunately we didn't hear all the booming. We wanted to hear with the GT1s thundering around this 4-mile course, but Jim Bradley, 69 years young, picks up his first medal at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Let's take a look at our top 10 here. Michael Lewis, the gold. We talked to Simon Gregg. 45 straight races in a row. He's there at the finish. Great job by Simon. Turn 5, as he said, nearly took a bite out of him again, as it did back in 2001 when Michael Lewis won a reigning Trans Am event. Finishing fourth, David Firsthand in that Oldsmobile. Danny Lamers soldiered on for fifth. We saw Carl Jannon get past late in the going, and he ends up sixth. Rick Dittman did get off course while running third, got back on, and off of turn 8, so credit to the corner workers to get him back on the racetrack to finish up in eighth. Cliff Evan, unfortunately, lap 2 caught him right here. That's his.
Yeah, that's his
remnants
deal.
of the mud and
pole sitter and was running away with the race, no question about it. But made a little mistake, and little mistakes in this kind of condition turn into big problems.
And the lap of honor belongs to Michael Lewis and a pellet driven by the rain crew member holding onto that checkered flag. And unfortunately, it's a ride he'll remember for another reason. Probably how many times he got nailed in the eye with the raindrops. But nonetheless, Michael Lewis able to celebrate victory here. His third GT1. He also won in GT3 on 3 occasions, so I stand corrected. It's his third gold medal in GT1. Well earned here today in the GT1 competition. His main competitor, Cliff Evan, crashing out in this rain condition, but nonetheless, Lewis proves the best of the bunch. Simon Gregg comes home the silver. Jim Bradley the bronze. We thank you so much for joining us here on the SpeedcastTV.com coverage of GT1 at the 40th Annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Thanks for watching.
This portion of the 48th Annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs is being brought to you by Mazda, Zoom Zoom, by Black Magic Car Care Products, and by Gumout, cleaning since 1945.
What do you drive? Is it inspiring? Was it built by a behemoth car maker? Or insightful craftsmen obsessing over the details, building better cars for a discerning few? Are you one of the few who care about what you drive and how it drives? We're with you because we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Gumout Regain Complete Fuel System Cleaner helps restore lost horsepower and fuel economy. Just pour an entire bottle of Gumout Regain into your tank before your next fill-up. Powerful cleaning additives attach themselves to fuel system carbon deposits and safely and effectively lift them away. That way, deposits burn up, then pass through the exhaust. Gumout Regain additives even leave a protective barrier to help keep new deposits from forming for up to 3,000 miles. Get a bottle of Gumout Regain Complete Fuel System Cleaner today for reduced engine hesitation, surging and knocking, as well as restored fuel economy and lost horsepower, all within one fill-up.
Okay, it's time to face facts. You're a gearhead. You treat the freeway on-ramp like your own personal racetrack, and you love the smell of burning rubber. Well, good news, Speed Junkie. The Sports Car Club of America wants you. With 40,000 members and 2,000 events across the country, the SCCA has all the wheel-spinning, engine-revving excitement you can handle. Want to dance on the edge of control? In SCCA Solo, you'll learn the blacktop two-step with an army of cones trying to trip you up. If slinging mud is your thing, check out SCCA Rallycross, where power slides and rooster tails are the name of the game. And if wheel-to-wheel competition is what you crave, SCCA Club Racing lets you chase the checkered flag on America's toughest racetracks. Join the Sports Car Club of America today and feed your obsession.